Everybody, welcome back to part 7 of the hotel app and booking engine with Angular 6, Material 2, and Firebase. So today we are going to continue with our theme. And of course, last time our theme was so generic. I mean, this whole, how do you create a new theme? And it's just like, okay, yeah, you can create a new theme, sure, but you have to use our palettes. And it's just like, no, thank you. Because we want to make our own palettes. So we are going to go to Material, the angular.io, and then we are going to also okay, never mind about all this. I was just doing this earlier. So we're gonna change the directory into Thea Hotel, and we're gonna do ng serve. While that loads, we're gonna come here. Let me just close this. And we're gonna go to guides. We're gonna go to guides, theming Angular Material. Remember last time, I'm gonna open Visual Studio. Last time, the last thing we did is we basically created a theahotel.scss file, which is really great, but we have a problem. And the problem is a couple of things. First of all, this matte teal thing and the matte red, all these stuff. I mean, sure, we created a new variable, Thea Hotel Primary, Thea Hotel Accent. That's all great, no problem. But we're still using matte teal. And if you can, as you can remember correctly, I'm just gonna grab this like that. We were using these styles. Actually, I was just experimenting with these colors because I had a project and I was using these colors in the past. So they're really beautiful colors, but we're still gonna follow this design here. Now over here, you remember when we decided, guys, this is so important because a lot of those answers online, they're all based on choosing the palettes here. It's not customized. And of course, there's a deep purple and deep indigo and deep light blue and all that stuff, because if you come over here, basically where you're getting all this from is, like if we look at, if we go to source, sorry, go to node modules, and we go to Angular, and we go to material, click on, okay, so you click on material. In the bottom of material, you're gonna see a underscore theming .scss, and what that means, guys, this means that this is a partial file. And guess what? That's what's happening. Like, that's why we included the theming, because yeah, we included the theme because that's where everything is. Like, if you're wondering like where are all these palettes coming from, they're all coming from here. Let me show you. Just let me just scroll down for a minute here, and let me show you the palettes. Okay, there we go. There, that's the matte red. You see that? You see the matte red, the 50, all the way from 50 to A700, and with the color code, the contrast, and then the matte pink, blah, 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 blah. So this is exactly what we're gonna do today. Today we are gonna start customizing our own palette, but this is so like, my gosh, I can't imagine like having to pick each and every single color based on this material theme way. You know what I mean? So, well, what are we gonna do? Well, there's a website actually, and that website will help us in getting stuff done. Okay, that website's gonna help us get a lot of stuff done, and we're gonna use them. And they're called, I believe, MCG. And actually, you know what? I actually asked my partner Kyra. I asked my partner Kyra to, we worked together in the past to help me with this, do it the right way. And there isn't really a lot of documentation on this. Believe it. So let me go to MCG because I've already been to their, yeah, there we go. So if you go to their site, this amazing person created this amazing tool. So this could be whatever, doesn't matter. So what I want you to do is, remember, we defined some colors in the beginning. So let's just go to inspect. And I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself again, but I just want to show you guys, again, I just fast forwarded everything and I grabbed this color over here. And I came back, and I know you guys are probably thinking, well, you did this in the last tutorial. No, on the last tutorial on part 6, we defined, guys, this file here is really long. Let me just come back here. We defined we defined this here. We defined the matte red, the matte teal. We chose matte teal. We didn't choose our custom color. So I'm gonna click here on custom. So unfortunately, Kyra could not help us, because anyway, I want to keep my CSS and my SCSS, and I want to like create SCSS files inside each component. Okay, so I'm going to show you the crappy way of doing this, and I'm going to show you the right way of doing this. But in the beginning, we have to start with the crappy way. So anyway, so as you can see, that's the color that we want. So we're going to grab this color here. We're going to copy this, come to Material Design. Sorry, the MCG and Bitsin website. We're going to click here, and we're going to paste that in. We're going to say choose. And then what we're going to do is we are going to click on the code, and I want you to click on Angular 2. Okay, so just remember, you don't have to copy anything. You don't have to like copy anything. Just hang on a second. Now you see what this is, right? Okay, this is going to be our primary color. Come back to Visual Studio, and what we're going to do is we are going to come back to the node modules, Angular, material, to the bottom. We're going to hit the theming.scss, and we are going to grab this just for the sakes of not confusing anybody. I want to make this really simple. And then, why is this, you know, I mean, I actually enjoy using Atom more than anything. And we're going to click on the Thea Hotel.scss file. We're going to open that. And I really don't like, there's some things I need to change here on this Visual Studio settings. I'm not happy with the fact that both styles are not open. And I'm usually used to, yeah, I've always been used to Atom, but anyway. So now over here, what we said is we're going to import the Angular Material theming. All this is based on the documentation over here. Okay, remember? On the documentation over here. So we've done this correctly, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep using the same methodology. So we are going to have to define our palette, okay? So, and that's what we just did. I'm going to hit enter, enter, and I'm going to put a bunch of spaces here, okay, just to make it easier. And we're going to paste that in here, and we're going to call this matte red. You know, they have it matte red, so we are going to call it different. We're going to say no. We're going to call this Thea primary. So I'm going to call this Thea primary. You can call it whatever you want, okay? But I want to give it a meaningful name. It's Thea Hotel. So I'm going to call it Thea primary. All right. And on the Thea primary, you see this is the way it is. Awesome. We're going to come back here, come to this website where we added our colors. And I'm going to copy from here all the way down to here. Okay. Do you see that? It's easy. And then open Visual Studio again, and then grab all that and paste it. Okay, now something went wrong. I'm just gonna go to Command Z. I did something wrong. And you know what I did wrong? We're supposed to choose this one, Angular JS2 Material 2. Is that what I did wrong? But anyway, just letting you know, I'm copying the Angular JS2 Material 2. And again, I'm highlighting from here all the way to the end, and I'm pasting it. And this is going to be fine. It's going to be perfectly fine. So I'm just going to move this over. Hold the Command key, and then the left curly brace. And I'm going to move this entire thing over, Command and curly brace, and move this one more space so it could look a little better. All right, so that way we know the difference. All right, so the second thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab this, okay, and I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna hit enter, enter, and I'm gonna paste it in again. And now we're gonna define the accent. It's not the secondary, it's the accent. So this is the confusion and the problematic thing about Sass, you know, and also, you know, having to compare, you know, those two different Material.io and Angular Material, which is, you know, and the MDC for web and the Angular Material 2. And in my previous tutorial, if I said material 2 and material 1, I'm sorry. Forgive me, I made a mistake. What I meant to say is the MDC versus material 2. So I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna grab, I think the color we're gonna grab is gonna be this color. Okay, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna copy that. I don't agree with the colors, but we can change that later. I'm gonna paste that in. You can choose whatever you want. So, and now that we have that color, I don't like that color. But anyway, remember the 500 here. Remember the 500. And anyway, all right. So we're gonna grab we're gonna hit Angular JS2. Sorry, Angular JS2. We're gonna copy all this here. In fact, you know, we can just copy the whole thing. No need to, you know, here, copy the whole thing. Come back here, you know that Thea primary? Just grab the whole thing like that and paste it in. It's gonna look really bad now. Anyway, select everything from top to the end here to the last one. You can hold the command key in the left curly brace. 1, 2. Nope, hit the tab key once. Of course, this doesn't look good. Command, okay. And then let's move this here. Okay, cool. So we got this done. We got that done. Okay, now we didn't get it done yet. Hang on. You know, remember this is Thea primary. I'm gonna put here, I'm gonna put Thea accent. Thea dash accent. And of course we can define our red, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm not gonna define the red because the red is for the warning. Remember, when you come over here on theming part, it says the warn palette is optional defaults. So that means if someone does something wrong in a form or something, he's gonna get the red, and it's the matte red. So there's no point of playing with that. Now over here, when you see those 3 colors, you know what this means, right? This is the default. One is the default, one is the light, and one is the dark. So if you go like lighter, so just remember this, never forget this. Default, lighter, darker. And that's how you would do it too in your HTML. You can say lighter, darker, or default, okay? Well, you don't put the default, but the lighter and darker. And in the CSS as well, okay? So we have to choose 3 colors, and I'm gonna come over here. Oh boy, what was that one? I believe it was 300, 900, and what else? It was 300, 900, 700, 300, 900, 7, right, correct. Open Visual Studio. Okay, now we define these, Thea primary, Thea accents, and remember we put a bunch of spacing, so I'm gonna just remove some of the white space, remove some of the white space, and in Thea Hotel primary, Thea Hotel accent, and this here, the matte teal, you see this here, matte teal, that's wrong because now we created our own palettes. So I'm gonna put Thea, remember? Thea primary. So I'm gonna come here and put Thea and primary. And we're gonna pass the default. I can't remember. It was 300. It was 300, right? Because remember, we want a pretty light. No, it wasn't 300. 700. 700, guys. 700. Just all you gotta do is just come back here. Okay. But of course, again, if you click on accessibility, the default we want this to be. I'll tell you later the difference between light and dark. Okay. I'll tell you later in a second. But it was 700, it was here, it was when we were using this, but now we changed this to the accent, so I can't remember it, but it was 700, 300, 900, I believe. So it's 700, you can play with this, right? 300 and 900, that was it. Now on the accent, we created our palette and we said Thea accent. So we're gonna come here and type in Thea, and then accent, and that's gonna be nothing. I'm gonna leave it to nothing. Well, should I leave it to nothing? Well, that was the default was 500, right? So let's leave it to 500. Let's just come here. Yeah, that's the one we kind of want, right? The 500. Right. That's the one we copied pasted from there. So it's 500. That's the default, and then the light, we can say the light is the 400. It's anyway. It's a wrong color again because the design is not complete. So I am sorry. Okay, I'm gonna leave this for 500. But we should put, like for instance, for 500, then the light is 400, and then the dark would be, I don't know, 700. Okay, cool. So now on the Thea Hotel 1 matte palette, leave this alone, or you can play with it if you want to change the warning. On the Thea Hotel, that's the name of our SCSS file. We're passing, no, we are, of course, we're passing the Thea Hotel primary, Thea Hotel accent, Thea Hotel warm. But we chose the matte light theme because you can also choose the matte dark theme. And if you want to know more, you can open that file that we opened earlier from the ng module at material, at Angular, and then the folder material inside that underscore theming .scss. That file, it defines matte light theme. Okay, so you can choose, like I can change this to matte dark theme, and I can change it later, and you will see what happens. Okay, but of course we didn't. We have to keep customizing right now. But for now, we did enough to use just the matte light theme, and also the text. We didn't add the text colors and all, but that's fine. This is what we need for now. At least you guys understand how this is done. And this we're not even close to being complete now. Now include the Angular material theme, Thea Hotel. Yes, this is correct. Included, and we have here our navtabs container. All our styles will go here. So now I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, so if I go to command save now, command save, okay, and I go again, why is this open? Let me just minimize this. Gosh, this file is huge. It's huge. So if I open like the navigation, go to source app navigation. Remember, we were working on. I don't need to do anything. Just anyway, I'm gonna come here and I'm going to go to Thea Hotel. Of course, so you see what happened now is everything changed beautifully. You see what I'm saying? This is really cool, but that's not part of the design. So we want to come over here and we want to pass the navtabs container, right? Which was actually in the header, the navtabs. Okay, the navtabs component.html. Here we added a class called navtabs container, which wraps the whole nav element. So we come to theahotel.scss. The matte color is Thea Hotel accent. So I'm going to change this to Thea Hotel primary, and I can also pass it like a lighter or a darker. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to put a comma. I'm going to pass it like a 500. So, well, I guess 500 because 500 is pretty light. I'm going to save it. And when we come here and we refresh this, there you go. There you go. You see? Because our default, this is 700. As you can see over here, the default is 700. Remember, if you read the documentation, this is the default, this is the lighter, and that's the darker. If I was to say now, lighter, it will be the same thing. It will be the same thing, and then save that, and come here and refresh. It's going to be the exact same thing because we defined the lighter to be that. Okay, so if I came here and I said the lighter to be, I don't know, 900, just for a joke, just a joke, right? Let's look what happens. See? So basically, the lighter is the middle one, is the second one. So that's it, okay? So this is the default, the lighter and the darker. So if I was to go darker, and now it's to save this and come here and I refresh, it's going to go darker. It's going to be the same because not the same. It's actually different because over here we defined the darker to be 900 in the palette, which is this one here. No, that's the accent. This one here. Okay, so we got that done. So now what we need to do next is we need to, let me just put 500 here, okay? Oh, yeah, I want it 500. I don't want it to be lighter. So I'll come back here, refresh this. Yeah, that's how we should do it for now. All right, we should do it for now. Maybe we can change it later. Anyway, so next thing we need to do, guys, is we need to, I'm going to show you guys how to do this the crappy way, which is not the crappy way. It's just the way of, with the easy way. And then later we're going to move all the CSS that we're going to add here. We're going to move it over to our nav components, okay? So now you may be thinking exactly, why am I adding CSS that belongs to nav tabs inside the hotel.scss file? Like, why are you not going to navigation, navtabs, navtabs.css? Why? You know why? I'll tell you why. If I was to copy this right now, or if I was to remove it, Command X, save it, and come here and paste it in here, it's not going to work because this is not a SAS file. Okay, it's not a SAS file. It's just not going to work. So we have to rename this to SAS, but no. We want to keep this CSS file. And what we want to do is we want to create a new SCSS file. Okay, we want to create a new SCSS file inside the nav tabs components folder. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right now, because if you put anything here, and of course I can continue here and I can say, look, I want to style this, I want to style these here. So I can say, hey, and I'm going to do it now. I'm going to go inspect. And by the way, you're going to see a bunch of other HTML here. You're going to be like, how in the world did this stuff get there? We didn't add this stuff there. And we didn't. You're right. Because Angular Material, it injects additional classes, additional HTML elements. It injects it. It literally injects it right in. So then that's why a lot of developers don't like this. They prefer Polymer, or they prefer the MDC components. Okay, so now if you click, I hope you could see this. I really hope you could see what I'm doing. I just inspected the element and I'm just hovering over the mat nav list, and then this is the mat list item content. So we want to change this to our colors, right? We want to change this to our colors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to force a state, and I'm going to call this hover, for example. Okay, and nothing happens, so I suppose that I'm going to remove hover. I'm going to come here, the mat list item, and I'm going to force a state, and I'm going to force it to be hovered. And you see now that the screen on the sign up is light gray, which is the background RGBA, right? So what I can do now is I can grab all this, and you can just click on it once, okay? Grab all of that, copy it, and we can come to our Visual Studio Code, and inside our Thea Hotel.scss, which is Thea Hotel SAS CSS, we can go to enter and paste it in. And I'm going to make it look a little bit prettier because it's impossible to read it like this. And after each comma, you see like that. Don't worry about the error. It's just because we didn't complete this. I'm going to put the curly braces, and I'm going to hit enter. And inside, I'm going to put background color. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do the same thing that we did here. So we can grab this over here and paste it in. Matte color, Thea Hotel primary. 500, but how about I want 300, okay? And I'm gonna save it, and or I can put lighter. I can put lighter there instead, because remember, oh yeah, our lighter is 300 primary. Save it and then come back here. I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna refresh this, and look what happens. We can easily now, you see, so every time I hover now, I can change. If I want to change the color, I want to change the color, right? So if I want to change the color, that's just the background. I want to change the color. We're gonna go again, matte color, Thea Hotel primary. Let's say I want to make it really dark, okay, which is 900. and you come here and you refresh. Well, it refreshes automatically, but anyway, and you can see now the color also changes. You see, so in a way, we're in a good place now, and I'm losing my voice because I've been talking all day. We're in a good place. But remember, if you put 400, if you put like 300, it's still a color. But if you go to like 200 and 100, you're gonna get like FFF, which means white. That's what it means. So don't get discouraged if you were to say, hey, I want the background to be slightly lighter. I want to make it 200 and save it. And then you come over here and you refresh and you're going to say, oh my God, it doesn't work. Oh my God, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So again, I'm going to make this 300. So just make sure that you know what's going on. Make sure that you look at this. The Thea primary, it starts from 50, 100, all the way to the alpha 700, and then you have all the contrasts as well. So now you understand why I'm saying is there's absolutely no point to put all the CSS that belongs to the nav tabs, okay? Like, I'm gonna close this. Do I wanna save this? I didn't change anything, so I'm not. So the Thea Hotel.scss, it belongs inside, it's inside the source, it's inside the source file. So why are we putting nav tabs CSS inside the source file? I mean, the nav tabs, yeah, I mean the mat list items. So these actually should be going inside a different file. I mean, a different CSS file. I mean, a SCSS file, which will be the not the nav tabs, but in fact a side list. And this nav tabs container, which belongs to the nav tabs, should go inside the CS file inside the nav tabs. And so this is what we're gonna do now, okay? So obviously, like if you really think about it, this does, in a way, it does belong to the global, SCSS file, which covers basically everything. But in fact, I want to show you guys how to do this because it's so important that some components will have a lot of theming, will have quite a lot of changes inside the styles of the theme. So we do want to know how to do this, okay? We really want to know how to do this, and I'm gonna do it for the. I mean, it's kind of hideous. I mean, it's a pain to do this like that. But you know what? We have to do it. We have no choice. Not that we have no choice, but that's just the way. That's just the only way we can do it right now, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So what we want to do now is basically create a new file inside the nav tabs and create a new file inside the side nav list, okay? Because we don't want to put everything inside the theahotel.scss. Believe me, yeah, it's more files, but you know what? It makes sense. We're going to name them properly, and we're just going to follow the steps that they provided us. Obviously, this is not documented really well, but that's fine. So in the nav tabs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new file, and I'm going to call that file navtabs, just the same way they call theirs, right? Navtabs dot component dash theme, okay, because it's a navtabs component theme dot SCSS. Remember, this has nothing to do. I'm going to hit enter. This has nothing to do with your navtabs component .css. We're going to keep that. We're going to leave that navtabs component .css. All right. So in the navtab, okay. So we're here. So obviously we have to import the file, the partial file, the theming file from Angular Material theming. You know, like earlier, I don't want to open this because it's long, but it's here, Angular, and it's Material theming. We have to import this, right? The underscore theming, this partial file, we need to import that. So I'm going to close this here. I'm going to minimize it because it's huge. And what we're going to do, yeah, so we're going to import that. So we're going to go at import, import, at import, and so we were doing the tilde, so at Angular. So that way you just go straight into the Angular folder, and it's the material folder, and it's going to be theming. So we don't put an underscore. It's a partial file. Angular knows that's a partial file. That's that. Okay. And then we need to add the mixin. This is in the documentation for the mixin, but not necessarily exactly a step-by-step guide. But anyway, that's the mixing, and we have the nav tabs. Okay, now we have to add the nav tabs component dash theme and pass it Thea Hotel, which is the Thea Hotel CSS file over here. Okay, so we just created the navtabs.component theme.scss, and that's what we're gonna do. So it's the navtabs, navtabs.component dash theme. Oh, and then we need to pass it inside the Thea Hotel, right? Like that. Navtabs. Yeah. No. Yeah. Navtabs dash component mixin dash theme Thea Hotel. So that's correct, right? Yeah, that's correct. So once we have that, now what we need to do is inside, because that's part of the documentation, you can go and check it out. Inside the curly braces, that's where we're going to add basically everything, right? Everything that we did in the Thea Hotel. Remember, it's the nav tabs. Don't confuse the nav tabs with the mat list, which is a side nav. Okay. So we're gonna grab our nav tabs, and we're gonna Command X this, and I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna add it here. All right. Now, obviously, we actually need to create a primary and an accent, and we're gonna leave it simple, primary and accent, and we're gonna do a map get and pass it Thea Hotel, and give it primary, and a map get and pass it Thea Hotel and give it accent. And that's in their documentation. So I'm trying to make this tutorial as fast as possible because I want you to do it because I know you can do it. I know you can go to the documentation and check it out, so I don't need to show you now. So we're gonna have a primary, and we're gonna do the map get. Again, this is all in the documentation, and pass it the Thea Hotel with primary. Okay, all right. So yeah. Oh boy. Okay. And then we're gonna copy this again, and we're gonna paste it in, and we're gonna do the accent now. Okay. I know I talked about the secondary in the previous video. Don't worry, just use accent for now. And then the accent. And then we're going to add all the styles here. So just so that you are not confused in the future, put all your theming styles here. Only theming, okay? Only theming, not CSS styles. All right. So that should be good, I believe. And what else did we miss? Did we miss anything else? Yeah, we did. Because since we created this file, we actually have to go inside our Thea Hotel .scss, and we need to, now you see this, I'm just gonna remove some white spacing, and I'm gonna put enter so we don't get confused. And remember here, like, let me just make this a bit smaller. In the Thea Hotel.scss, we included Angular Material theme, and we passed the Thea Hotel. So we actually need to do the same thing again, and this time we need to do, well, the same thing, but for our own navtabs dash component dash theme, and do this in Thea Hotel again. So we're gonna call this nav. Let me just remove all this crap. Sorry. Navtab dash component dash theme and Thea Hotel. Okay. Nav tabs. Put an S. Plural. Okay. So nav tabs dash component dash theme Thea Hotel. And also, I believe that's that. Yeah, and then we need, oh, hang on a second. We also need to import this as well. We need to import it. And since we're here, okay, now look, I'm just gonna, you see navigation, right? This is navigation. What I'm about to do, just to save you time in the future, you can just select this new theme that we created, right? This theme here, this CSS file, and you can just right click on it and just copy the path. Okay, you can just copy the path like that. All right, so that's what we need to do. We actually need to import this. So yeah, so let's import this as well. So we are going to import it, and we're going to add the path there. Okay, so import and we can add the path here. Whoops. Add the path, but in fact, all you need to do is you're basically in the Thea Hotel.SCSS. So the Thea Hotel.SCSS is inside the source file. Okay, we're inside the source file. Okay, so you need to get not to get out of basically go to app. Okay, because you so yeah. So I'm gonna just do it here. So it's like here. Let me just paste it in so you understand what I'm saying. I pasted in that I copied the path. All right. So I'm gonna remove all this all the way to app because we need to just go to app. So we put a period there. Okay, right here you put a period. If you put period, it means go get out of the directory, get out of the source file. And trust me, you don't want to get out of the source file. It will be wrong. So you just put the dot and then you go to the app folder, okay? And then you go to navigation and then you go to navtabs and then you select navtabs, navtabs component dot component dash theme dot SCSS, okay? All right. So now that we added this here, now that we added this here, I'm just gonna go to Command S to save this. And now that it's saved, we need to go to navtabs component theme.scss and save this. Now, what is wrong with this? I don't understand what is wrong with this. Obviously, we've made a mistake somewhere. Oh my goodness, sorry. Never mind. I'm sorry about that. And again, these are common things that happen, and obviously I need to script these videos. And I'm doing this, guys. Now it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm trying my best to do this. Okay, so I'm saving this and save the navtabs dot component dash theme dot scss. Save the Thea Hotel dot scss. Okay, and here I'm just gonna add navtabs component SCSS file. Okay, you can do that, so you don't confuse yourself in the future. All right, so now that we saved that, again, you were thinking the side list, so we can do something about the side list. So if you come here now, all these styles that we applied, you refresh this, all the styles you applied are always going to be there. They're still going to be there. Of course, the ones on the side navigation, on the side nav is also going to be there, but it's going to be there because it's inside the Thea Hotel.scss, and technically we should create a file as well. So we can repeat the same thing. All right, we can repeat the same thing, or we can just leave it here. All right, we can leave it here, but I'm not really. I think it's just a good idea that I showed you guys how to do it, because we're not going to be like styling this all the time, so it's okay to have it at a global basis. But of course, technically, we should put it inside. We should create another file inside the side nav list. And you know what? Let's just create another file inside the side nav list. But I will just leave that up to you guys. We're not, forget it, because these tutorials are getting too long, and there's absolutely no point to put them there if we can just leave them here. All right. So there we go. That's that. Thanks for watching, guys.